So I'm back. I don't know. So basically, if you saw the Instagram post that I posted on Jono's Weekly, you would have seen that I said that I was going to be transitioning what I was doing this year into hopefully 12 videos. It would be one video a month. I just felt like I needed to do something different than what I did last year. I know I did 75 hard and that was a crazy challenge. I think mainly I just need to do something else that works for getting a job, to be honest. Yeah, I have applied to hundreds of applications and I'm not getting anything, but what I can do now is I realize I just can make videos and start a YouTube channel again that I have had for years, frankly. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I am gonna make 12 videos, hopefully, one for each month based on different challenges and things I wanna learn. So to start off, obviously, we have our first one, which is making home-cooked meals. I wanted to think of a way to kind of meal prep, but at the same time, just learn to cook more because I really like cooking and I don't do it as much as I would like to. And this is just a good way to make me start cooking, is to force myself to make a YouTube video for everyone. I basically am gonna be taking everyone through the entire process because basically I wanna showcase like everything that I'm doing and force myself to have to make videos throughout the month and not just rush everything at the end, because as you know, that never really works and I wanna force myself to do something every week. So this is what I am committing to. I think I wanted to do food because A, I need to save money and stop eating out as much, and B, I want to eat a little bit healthier, get some more protein, and you know, just be healthy. I think that's a great goal for anyone to have, so I think that's my goal. Please ignore the mess behind me. I just realized that it looks terrible. I just got back here from San Diego, or from the Bay back into San Diego, so it is a mess right now, but it'll be clean by the end of this video, hopefully, and when I showcase everything here to you. And hopefully that the video turns out well. Hopefully the food turns out well, because I would be so sad if it sucks. So let's get on with the video.
So I first started with researching meals that I wanted to do. I know I wanted to focus on healthy things that didn't take too long to make, but that were still tasty. And I also wanted to make sure that I had a lot of variety between the meals, but they kind of had an overlap so that I could use the same ingredients for most of them. So I ended up with 7 different meals that I wanted to cook over the month. A creamy tomato beef pasta, a sheet pan salmon with vegetables, a high protein cheesy chicken quesadilla, a Korean ground beef, a buffalo chicken rice bowl, a protein cheeseburger, and a classic steak. So with these 7 meals in mind, I started to make the list of ingredients and how much I needed to get of each of them in total. After that, I went through the foods that I already had in my kitchen and marked those off before I went to the grocery store to get all the rest of the ingredients that I needed. So the first meal that I started cooking was the 1-pot creamy tomato beef pasta. The recipe itself wasn't that bad, and I just started off cutting up the onions and garlic, and then I started getting ready to cook the rest of the food. I put them on a pan and cooked it for 1.5 minutes before adding the beef and the seasoning, and then cooking until there was no longer any red meat. And then I added the herbs and then some tomato paste, and I cooked it for another minute. And then after that, I put in some chicken, crushed tomato, chicken stock, salt, pepper, red pepper in, and added the pasta. Yeah, and I cooked it for about 15 minutes, and then I brought the liquid to a simmer, just so that it would thicken up just a little bit before adding the just so it would thicken up a little bit before adding the Greek yogurt just to give it some more protein. And then I cooked it for about a minute or two more before everything was all done. Here we go with our first taste test, and the food was really hot because I just took it off the stove, but initially I thought it was really good. I think the pasta was really good. It was easy to make and tasty, and I think I could have used a little bit more Greek yogurt for a creamier finish. And I also kind of think that sour cream would have gone really well with this dish. I couldn't actually say out loud what I was thinking because there was a TV show playing in the background, so that's why I had to just record this over. But I thought it was a great meal, and overall I would say it's an 8.8 out of 10 for our first meal of the video.
Completely unrelated side note, I also just bought this mic, so hopefully it's better. I don't know. I've never tried it before, but also it was my birthday. So Alexis made all these streamers, and I have a bunch of balloons everywhere. So that's fun. But yeah, good little update. Update for mid video. Okay, so now I have a mic, so I don't know what that really means, but let's get cooking. Perfect. In the buns.
This recipe for the protein burger really isn't that difficult. It's kind of just cutting stuff up and then mixing it all together before grilling it, and then just making a burger, which isn't that hard. The really nice thing about this is that I actually remembered how to cut onions to make them small in the beginning, and it saved me a lot of time this time. When it came to the actual mixing of the stuff, I feel like I didn't really follow a recipe with how much I should put for each of the seasonings. I kind of just felt how much I wanted and kind of went with that, and it turned out okay. And what actually makes this a protein burger is the fact that there's eggs in here in the actual patty itself, which just gets it a little bit more protein than usual, and it actually gets it a little bit better taste too.
So I tried making a burger, and it's not going well. You know, although it does look terrible, it smells pretty delicious. Okay, I think it's time to flip the burger. Well, that didn't work.
In the meantime of my burger fail, I put some toasted buns on the stove, and I also forgot to record me putting cheese on it and taking it off the pan, so this is all I have left. But it did come together, kind of. I put my tomato and lettuce and ketchup on the burger, and it is now ready for a final tasting and review.
That did not go nearly as well as I wanted to, but hopefully it still tastes good. I don't know. I mean, if it tastes good, right, that's all that really matters. There's a lot of protein in here. Taste test number 1. Hot. It's really hot. That is really good. That is really, really good. I'd honestly give that like a 9.4 out of 10. And I love burgers, but I think the egg, the garlic seasoning, salt, pepper, was really good. The cheese melted really well, and then you know, the buttered bun always helps. I thought I put too many onions, but I think there's a really good amount of onion in here, and it just came out great. Now I have to go make the rest with the other 15 pieces of meat I have. So, just so you all know, the second one is turning out much, much, much better, and I will be eating it shortly.
So the salmon dish was actually the only one that I had to do any prep the night before, which is kind of surprising, but it was really easy. I just had to get out all of the ingredients, and the night before I just put put everything in a bowl, mix it up together, cut up some green onions, and everything else was just measuring, so it actually really wasn't even that bad. But once I put everything in the bowl, I mixed it all together, and then I put it out into a pan, and I just covered it and left it in the fridge for the night. It only needs to be in there for like 2 or 3 hours, but I wasn't gonna eat it this night anyway, so it made sense for me to just throw it in there. And then when I took it out, all I had to do was put it in the oven, which was really easy. I cut up some vegetables, salt, and put some oil, salt, and pepper in there. And then I put it around the salmon before putting it in the oven. And then while that was happening, I put the marinade into a saucepan. And then I thickened it up by boiling it. And then I served the salmon with the sauce after it was done. New location unlocked. Here's the food. I have to be up here because other people are doing homework instead of stupid shit like this. So, broccoli is pretty good. This sauce is really good. Time to try the salmon and rice. That's pretty good. That's some pretty good food. This sauce is really good. That is really good. Really simple. Really tasty. The sauce. Also, I literally got a haircut in the time that I recorded this video, so it's been a while. This salmon is really good. Let's give it a rating. It was the third meal I've made. So far, I'd say it's the best. 9.4 out of 10.
I agree.
9.4 out of 10 is the consensus. This is really, really good. Wow. Anyway, on to the next one. Yeah! Wait, they don't love you like they love you. Wait, they don't love you like they love you. Okay, so ignoring my like horrendous singing, I think that this recipe wasn't really too bad. It wasn't hard to make and it wasn't too many ingredients, which I thought was really nice, and you also get a pretty decent amount of protein for it. Now, looking at this recipe, it started off with me having to mix together all of my spices, and this part was just measuring out, kind of feeling it out, because I didn't measure exactly how much I should have, especially with the salt and pepper, because let's face it, whoever does that. After that, I just had to put it on the chicken and get it ready to be cooked. And I think I set the pan a little bit too hot for this. I think it should have been a little bit lower so that I didn't actually burn the chicken and I cooked it all the way through. You'll see a little bit later that I kind of burnt it and it was still a little raw on the inside, so I had to cook it a little bit more. So I think that's something that I could have improved on and done a little bit better. But after that, I just pulled the chicken apart using 2 knives because I didn't want to wash 2 forks. Obviously, and after I did that, I got ready with the quesadilla, and while I was waiting for the pan to heat up, I was just being Squidward. I think that this recipe was really hard for me because I never really made a quesadilla before, and I didn't really think it through or kind of understand what I was doing. Like, for example, right here, I should have put the egg on the inside part and then flipped it, or you know, like there's just a bunch of things that I did wrong for this entire meal. As you can see here, it made it hard for me to take off the tortilla, and then it just looks a little bit weird on the outside. I also put way too much chicken, which made it hard for me to fold the tortilla, but eventually I got there and everything turned out okay. Okay, so aside from the fact that I don't know how to make a quesadilla, I think the issue was that I had a little too much chicken. All things considered, this is pretty good. So I'm gonna give it a little taste test. And we'll see how it is. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I was supposed to cook the tortilla with the egg and then flip it over and then put the chicken and cheese in, so that's partially my fault. Also, I don't have any sour cream with me, but I think sour cream would make this
go from what it is now, so like it elevated a lot. I'd say an 8.6 out of 10. You know, I'm gonna go an 8.2 out of 10. It just doesn't have the most ingredients. It's flavorful, but not the most, and it was very easy to make that. So I'm gonna give it an 8.2 out of 10. Okay, update. I took out some non-fat Greek yogurt, and it's pretty good. So the score has now gone from an 8.2 to an 8.7. I think it would be even better with sour cream, but non-fat Greek yogurt gets me a lot of protein, and it's non-fat, so it's pretty good. So I think this is actually an 8.7 out of 10, updated ranking. So just had to put that out there since I did try something new.
So this meal had a lot of cutting, and I think that's kind of what makes me feel like I'm cooking, is how many things I have to cut up. But this meal had a lot of it. I had to cut up vegetables, more vegetables, and then some garlic. And I think all of the cutting really just makes me feel like a chef. Like I feel like I could be in the Bear. But anyways, this meal was pretty simple besides all of the things you have to cut up. Just a lot of measuring, and once you actually get to cooking, it actually is really quick. So once I finish all of this measuring stuff, I run out of soy sauce, unfortunately, and this brown sugar, which I thought was way too much to be healthy. Everything kind of just goes in the pan, and it makes it really easy to cook. But the prep time is a little bit longer than some of the other meals that I've had. I also tried this new steamer thing this time. I've never used it before, but it came out pretty good. Basically, all it is something that you put vegetables in, and then you put some water and then put in the microwave, and it's just really easy to use. Also, say hi to Remy. That's our Italian chef that just hangs underneath our microwave. I don't know if you've ever seen him before, but he just hangs out there. We got him at the beginning of when we got the apartment, and he's lived there ever since. But yeah, I've never used that microwavable thing before, so I don't really know how it's gonna turn out, but it was pretty nice to use because it's really easy. And I feel like this entire meal, once you get to cooking, is really quick, nothing too difficult, and it came out really well.
Okay, so we made our Korean ground beef with rice and steamed vegetables. I've never tried that steamer before, so let's just see how these turn out. That's pretty good. The steamed vegetables were really good. I think it was a Pampered Chef microwavable steamer or something. You just throw it in the microwave, put some water in there. That was really good though. So I think I will be using that in the future. Time for our actual meat and rice. Wow, that's pretty good. That's actually really good. I think off that first test, I think that's like a, I think that's like a 9.2. I don't think it was as good as the salmon. Yeah, I think that was definitely a 9.2. This is really good. Cooked really well. The sauce is really good. I have no complaints. This is pretty fantastic. 9.2 out of 10. Great meal. We'll see you in the next meal.
Buffalo chicken is up, and it's the second to last meal before I am done with this challenge. It's honestly been a pretty crazy ride. This meal is one of the easier ones that I've had to do. There isn't that much to do for it, and I started off with Brussels sprouts because what else do I eat besides that? And honestly, I put way too much oil for how many times I cooked this, so I think I need to get a little bit better before I say that I have mastered them. But onto the chicken, this I have not mastered for sure. I started it into cubes. I realized I could have bought a cubed one from the store, and that would have made this whole process a lot easier. But like I said, I love using the knife and pretending that I'm an actual chef. I seasoned up the chicken using whatever the ingredients told me to use, and then I kind of eyeballed it from there because I don't really like measuring stuff. And then I put the Brussels sprouts in the oven so that while I cook the rest of this, it would be just done on time. I think there wasn't too much to do for this recipe anyway, so I don't really have like as many notes as I usually would do. I started cooking the chicken, and you kind of just want to get it cooked all the way through, and then I started making the sauce at the same time, and I just went back and forth between these two for a good amount of time while the chicken was cooking. and the honey just would not come out, so I had to multitask for a little bit. When I started to whisk it all together, it kind of got a little difficult just because some of the ingredients were sticking, so I had to really get in there. And I know you're not supposed to use metal on metal, but what can I say? This is the only thing I had. And once I actually put the Greek yogurt in there, it really started thickening up and looked really nice, and it smelled really good. And the chicken was done by then, so I just tossed it in. And then I mixed it around just a little bit, and then my dinner was ready. And it came out pretty good.
So we made the buffalo chicken rice vegetable bowl. It came out pretty good. I think the sauce came out really nicely, and then other vegetables I just did while we were cooking the chicken. Yeah, everything turned out pretty well. The only thing I'm actually worried about is the rice. Pretty good. New rice cooker, didn't know how it was gonna be. But yeah, let's get some chicken and some rice, which I buried all the way down here. And let's try this. That's pretty good. Should not eat food straight out of the oven, besides the heat. I'd say it's pretty good. I think I could have added a little bit more Greek yogurt, but the creaminess is really good. The spice is good. It's maybe a little too much. I think I used a spicier hot sauce. Maybe a milder one would be better next time. But the chicken tastes really good, cooked well. Brussels sprouts are fire. I can't really complain. Let's see, let's give it another taste, then we'll give it a rating. Hot, 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 really hot. Now that I have tasted it, again, I'd give it a 9.1, 9.2. I don't know, somewhere up there toward the top. But I would not say the best one that I've cooked so far. I would say it's pretty good, pretty easy to make, just really quick. And on to the final dish. Are we ready? I'm almost ready. It's been a crazy ride so far, low key. So having a lot of fun doing this, and I'm excited for this last dish because it's steak, and I love steak. Anyway, see you at this next dish. Last day of cooking challenge.
Ooh, jump scare.
Jump scare.
So at this point, you guys kind of get the deal. It was a lot of fun to do this challenge. 7 different meals, 7 things I learned at least, and you know, this was a lot of fun. I'm gonna let this video end part speak for itself, but it was a great journey to go on, and I'm glad you guys have stayed to watch it so far. So enjoy the rest of the steak section.
Usually I have tongs, so like it makes it a little easier to flip, but I don't want to wash them, so we're gonna do this the hard way. Ooh, I thought the hard way was the easy way. And look at this beautiful brown. I think I cooked it a little too hot, but so a really important part, lower down the heat, and we are going to get our little spoon and a lot of butter. And when I say a lot of butter, I mean a lot of butter. A lot of butter and some garlic. And we're gonna toss that in here. Let it start to melt. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna toss it over the steak. I'll turn this way, toss it over the steak. This will give it a nice buttery finish and taste, and just makes the steak so much better. You do this for about a minute on each side while you finish cooking the steak through on the lower heat, and it comes out really, really nicely when you do it properly. Beautiful steak. We'll let this rest, and then we will come back and have our taste test. So this is the last meal. Yeah, I mean, the steak came out really well, I think. I have to cut into it to see, but this is the last meal of the 7 that I decided to make this year for this month. Let's take a quick peek. This is a really fatty piece, but you take a look here. I think this is an edge piece, so it's a little bit less cooked, or a little bit more cooked since it's a little thinner, but a nice medium rare in here. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a test. Well, I think we all knew this was coming, but I'd say this is a 10 out of 10 meal. This is one of my favorite meals to cook. I know I said I was gonna be learning how to cook new things, but I did want to try and cook this and see if I can do it a little better than I usually do. And I think I did that a little bit just with this meal. The rice was really good and the Brussels sprouts were really good. I learned how to do the Brussels sprouts even better over the course of learning the other meals, and then the steak, you know, just figuring out a little bit better how to cook stuff and figuring out like, you know, oh, I need to lower the temperature and cook it for a little longer, or you know, I need to put it up a little bit, stuff like that. I think I kind of learned over the course of this video, making this video, and I think that really helped me in just making this steak. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10, just because 1, I love steak, 2, it tastes really good, and 3, you know, it's the last meal of the video. Why not? I'll go through a listing of all of the meals and rate everything again, and you know, price, makeability, heatability, all that kind of stuff, whatever I decide to choose. But for now, yeah. Last meal, cheers. And yeah, this video was a lot of fun to make, so. I'll see you next month. So we're at the end. That was the whole video, and yeah, it was a great journey. I think I learned a lot, cooked a lot of good food and ate a lot of good food, which was exactly what I wanted to do. But I think it was just a fun thing to do. And this first month I knew would be really difficult because, you know, I set this goal out for myself so that I can make a video. And the video I end up making so far, I'm not done editing yet, but it's around 30 minutes long, which is probably the longest project I've ever worked on, if I'm going to be honest. And I think it just taught me a lot, you know, both in the kitchen and editing and filming and all this other stuff. And I think it was, you know, a really good experience for me. So I think I will continue doing these 1-month challenges. I feel like I have other stuff that I want to do. Maybe something that isn't as hard, because this one was just a lot of editing. It was just a lot of editing, a lot of filming, a lot of going out and doing stuff. And I think that some other video projects I might make more creative, or, you know, steer away from this kind of repetitive-ish task that I did. It wasn't that repetitive, like, really, but, you know, editing and all that stuff made it a little bit. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to our list of the order I ranked these 7 meals in. I ranked them based on 1, taste, of course. 2 was how easy it was to make, and then 3 was how good it was to reheat, because I was kind of trying to learn stuff that I could meal prep with. And I think, you know, how good it tastes after you reheat it is kind of important, just because that's what you're going to be doing for half the time you eat these meals. So I made that one of my categories. In 7th place, we have the cheesy quesadilla. I feel like it was just okay. You know, all the other meals were a little bit better. They all have just a little bit more. And the quesadilla was good, but it was, you know, just okay. Nothing against it. I think all the meals that I cooked were pretty solid. So being 7th doesn't really mean that much. 6th, I have the buffalo chicken rice dish, because I feel like it was a little bit spicy, and then reheating it was, again, it was just okay. Partly because, you know, the chicken and it kind of got oily, and then when you reheat it, there's a lot of oil in there, and it's just a little bit weird to eat, but it was pretty good to eat when it was fresh out of the oven. So maybe that's like something that I would just eat once and then not meal prep. 5th, I have the protein cheeseburger. Again, it was like taste was really good, and it wasn't that hard to make, but I think the reheatability. It's a cheeseburger. You don't really reheat those, so it was only okay to me, and I don't think it's something that I would cook a lot in the future, for meal prepping. These top 4 are kind of ones that I think I will keep in mind for the future and are things that I will keep eating, cooking, stuff like that. 4th, we have the tomato beef pasta. That was a really good meal for me. I think that it wasn't the easiest to cook, which is why it was 4th, but when I reheated it, I was really blown away by how good it still tasted and how I, really still liked eating it. And I think that's why I got 4th, but I think the other 3 meals are just a little bit better when it comes to all around food. Then that 3rd one I have is the Korean beef. So the Korean beef was really good to cook. It was pretty easy to make, just mixing stuff up, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And heating it up, I think it was a little bit better than the pasta. It was still not as good as the top 2, but it was pretty good. And I think that, value-wise, you get a lot of meat for the recipe, and just, it was a good meal. 2nd, I have the steak. I know it's a surprise I didn't put steak at first, but to be honest, it was the reheating that lost it out just a little bit. Steak is my favorite meal, probably. Steak, rice, and Brussels sprouts is a staple for me, and I think that, under different circumstances, if I wasn't making it for meal prep, this would easily be first. Which leaves the soy sheet salmon dish as the last meal and my first place for this, little experiment. It was just the best all around. It was really easy to make, tasted really, really good, and then reheating it, salmon is pretty good to reheat, and then the sauce is just something that you heat it along with it, and I think that just set it above everything else. It made it a lot better than some of the other ones when it reheated, and overall I think it was probably one of the easiest ones to make, so that's why the salmon took first place for me. But yeah, I think it was a lot of fun for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it, and I guess I will see you guys all in the next video in about maybe a month. So until then, I will see you guys later. Bye bye.